believer that this team's going to win the national championship. Something stupid is coming out of his mouth. I don't know. Maybe it's just my age. He needs his vote pulled immediately. And of course, yes, a season like this has to have a name. Let's talk about something good about Justin Freck. What are you doing? The season of dreams. Ohio State, my guys, are either the best or the second best program in the history of college football. This guy is a bonehead. They love him. I question your judgment as an adult. I really do. I was a total hater. I know that for a fact, and I just don't get it. Get us back our sleeves and say, bring me that. That's the one I want. Hey, welcome into Juckonbucks on a Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, the day before the game, and joining us on Friday, as always, my man, Chris Drew. How we doing, KD?
Really good, man. Happy Thanksgiving, Juck. Happy Thanksgiving to the Juck family, too.
Yeah, absolutely. How was your Thanksgiving?
Dude, it was good, man. At the house with the gang, with the littles. My grandfather was there too, so it was a really good time. And then we usually do like Black Thanksgiving and kind of have a party afterwards. So hung out at the crib after that.
Hold on. Enlighten me. What is Black Thanksgiving?
It's like when people come over after Thanksgiving, they like all have like their own Thanksgivings, and then they all come over and we just kind of have a function at the house, and everybody like drinks and lots of Patron involved usually.
Okay.
And yeah. That's what I call it. Honestly, I call it back as my granddad. I mean, last year my granddad he smoked a little bit and then made one of my friends smoke the turkey. It was insane. Just really wild times at the Chris Drew household.
Oh, bro, I loaded up my turkey. Look, dude, I did so good this year. It was so crispy and juicy.
Okay, Juck.
Oh, it was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Even the people that didn't like turkey liked my turkey yesterday.
Damn,
so
Juck did the dang thing.
Yeah, spatchcocked that bird, man. It was delicious. But I feel so horrible this morning. I just feel gross, like sugar hangover to the max. I'm a pie guy. I go nuts on the pie.
Kind of pie?
My mom's apple pie, which my mom's going through chemo. She's a great pie cook. I didn't think she was going to make. She came with 5 pies, man.
I really do hate cancer. Just so you know.
We know, buddy. We know it's just a gag. That was a hilarious moment, though. I gotta say, I was watching live that day, and that was just an unbelievable. You were so tore up about it, and I could see the pain.
Yeah, dude. Bad deal. But maybe I'm alone on this, but I think unequivocally, without a doubt, and it's not even really close, the best pie is a blueberry pie.
I don't get that often in the rotation, but I do like a blueberry pie for sure.
It's so underrated.
I would agree with you. It is underrated, and I rarely get it. It's not usually anywhere around me. But let's get to the game, buddy.
Let's do
We have got the opportunity to see a victory in the game tomorrow for the first time in way too damn long. And on Monday, I was trying to talk myself into not feeling quite so overconfident, because I am a child of the 90s and all the markers are here for a classic upset in this game. And the way to maximize your pain in this game is to go in way overconfident. I've learned my lesson. That said, you can't make yourself feel something, and I just don't feel any nerves.
Dude, I keep having dreams that we blow them out. Like I can't not have that feeling the same way you do. And then I keep thinking back to like the second largest, I guess like favorites Ohio State were was in 96, I believe, and they lost that game as a 17-point favorite, this year being 20. But it feels like to me Ohio State's going to take out all their frustrations, but I think losing to this team would be the most pain I've ever felt. Probably any sporting event. So
yeah, my level of confidence is usually, you can kind of, the more confident I am, the more it hurts. So like the way I feel now, I honestly, in my life, I can't recall being the day before the game and still not feeling the crazy amount of butterflies. Like it's just not there for me. I thought it would be there by today. It's still not. I woke up today, thought about the game again, thought about every scenario through my head. I still just cannot envision any way. Ohio State has to beat themselves so much to allow them to score 24 points, which I think is what they're going to need to win the game at minimum. And that would just require a colossal failure on Ohio State's part on every level of the team.
Dude, like I think like if Will Howard threw 2 interceptions, I would still say Ohio State wins.
Me too. But we've seen Georgia win with 3 interceptions, several times this year.
Yeah, like I think Ohio State could win this game with 3. Because I think Michigan's offense is so putrid and so bad that like even if they get the ball down in the red zone, I'm a firm believer they're going to walk away with only 3 points. Like I don't think they're going to score down there.
Same. I think I predicted the game 35-13. So I did give them a touchdown, and even that felt like a stretch. But I'm with you. I can't even see them scoring. I really can't.
I think Vegas has it at like us scoring about 32.
Is that what it worked out to? That's
32.5 is the over under, courtesy of Project Pat's in the corner over there.
What's the line this morning, Pat? It was 19.5 last night.
I think it's back to 20.5.
20.5.
You don't have a microphone over there. 20.5. But that's not actually Pat. It's Pat's sister.
Chris, we got Blue fans pretending that they don't care, saying things like, oh, you're going to gloat about beating the worst Michigan team in 20 years. You don't get a pass because you suck, man. You know what I mean? Like, it just makes the pain worse to suck and then also get embarrassed in the game. And I would think they'd understand this after the last 25 years, but I forgot that so many of them just became fans in the last 3 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. It is funny because it's just a coping mechanism. Like I've seen that, and then I saw I forgot his name. Shoot, Isaiah Hull say that this was like the worst. Like last year's Ohio State team was better, and you know what he was doing with that?
He was
making it sound like, okay, so Ohio State's best team that they ever put out there, or in recent memory, our best team beat them.
Yeah,
it's like they're finding new ways to cope. It's like gymnastics. It's crazy. No, this game absolutely does mean something. And if they tell you it doesn't, it's just because they know what's coming, I think.
For sure. I was just thinking yesterday as I was writing the show notes about how wrong they have been about everything this year. They thought Sharon Moore was some prodigy. Mm-hmm. They thought Alex Orji was Cam Newton.
Yeah, they thought it was Cam Newton. They thought it was Jalen Milroe.
They thought their quarterback room was not just better than Ohio State's, but the best in the country.
Right.
They thought that transfer linebacker Jayshon Barham was about to take the Big Ten by storm and be the best linebacker in the country. They thought that Will Johnson gave a shit about Michigan at all in any way, shape, or form.
They thought Donovan Edwards was going to win a Heisman as the lead feature back.
Yes, Donovan made the cover of the game, man.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, we knew what that was right from the start, but the level of hypocrisy it takes from acting the way they acted, the $20 million, well, started with the $13 million, then the $20 million, to bragging that they now own the NIL space.
Yep.
The very second they got money, like it changed like that. And for those who don't keep up, it's not just the Bryce Underwood signing with them. They're after Jakeem Stewart. His trainer has come out and said on 3 that Michigan told him straight up they're in a much different place financially. They're in after a lot of guys, trying to flip some dudes late, big money guys just coming in with offers. And because of this, they think they are now the NIL boss player, a renaissance in Michigan football. And they are so proud and so happy about it that they don't even care about the hypocrisy. They don't even care that they went around saying everything they did. Immediately, as soon as they got some money, the high horse stance was gone and the moral superiority was gone. It changed on a dime. The True Kellers showed again. They're just unbelievable.
Juck, I have something. I'm going to talk about it later on my show, but I do think it's interesting because I think everything that Michigan does is phony. So the Champion Circle, that's the NIL collective that's responsible for putting together the deal for Bryce Underwood that the Ellisons reportedly donated to. The Champion Circle quoted her, and they called her an alumni. They said, this is a direct quote from her, "I'm a proud Michigan alum, but there is no record of anybody named Jolin graduating from the University of Michigan."
So Jolin is Larry Ellison's girl, and she's the one who's got him on the hook or swayed him to donate all this money. So you're saying she's just a Walmart Wolverine.
Yes, but she called herself an alum in the quote to the Champion Circle, and they used that quote. But there is no record of anybody named Jolin ever graduating from the University of Michigan.
That's interesting. That is interesting stuff, man.
Just everything they do is phony. Just want to float that out there.
So, in short order, and I haven't talked about this much on the show, but we've talked for a long time about what is the NCAA going to do? Are they going to eventually have to make these guys paid employees? It didn't look like the exemption was coming from Congress that they're going to need. But 10 days ago, Ted Cruz, who is the chair in waiting, essentially the Republicans control everything now. And he is on a mission to get this done and to provide the NCAA this exemption that's going to declare these college athletes not employees of the universities, but give the NCAA the power to operate with those exemptions the way that the NFL does, the way that the NBA does, which allows for things like salary caps and rules and the things that have been ruled unconstitutional in the NIL space, guys getting paid for play and everything. Like, essentially, this is all changing, like, big time. We're most likely going to see a salary cap. We're most likely going to see NIL deals needing to be vetted as true NIL deals for market value. You can't just sign somebody at Barstool for a $13 million contract and say, we're endorsing him at Barstool. No, it's got to match with other deals that you've made to an NFL athlete, for instance. That's got to match up. If you paid him $30,000 for his podcast, you can't pay this guy $13 million. It's going to be vetted like merch, this,
right?
Yeah, like this is all going to happen pretty fast. I guess my question is, how fast can they make this big Larry Ellison checkbook program changing when this is coming right down the pipe?
I don't know. I don't know how they're going to regulate the sponsorships. Like, I know they're going to try to look at the market value, but they're going to have a tough time because I think a lot of these athletes are going to end up taking them to court over certain rulings. But I don't know.
You lose so much standing when, like, essentially that is essentially, if I am the NFL and I have a salary cap and you want to take me to court because you're not getting enough money, I'm allowed to have my own rules. You know what I mean? This is my league.
More like I'm the NFL. I have a salary cap, and the owner of Head and Shoulders is a huge fan of Odell Beckham Jr. And, like, look, if you re-sign in New York, I'll give you a $10 million Head and Shoulders deal.
The NFL doesn't have a rule that you can't have pay for play. Is the difference? Like, I, as the NCAA, have a rule that the
I guess how do you actually, like, legally enforce stopping certain endorsement deals that are basically the facade of this isn't pay for play, but it is.
So you are the player. I don't have the authority to tell you can't do that. Mm-hmm. I, as the NCAA, have the authority to govern the school to say that you can't have that player on your team if he accepts that.
That's fair. That's what they're going to have to do, right?
Yeah, that's the difference, and that's what it's going to be. So, things are changing big time, and I anticipate what's going to happen here is they're going to have this class, the next transfer portal cycle, in the following class to maximize whatever they can get out of this dude, and then it's curtains. Everything changes. We finally get rules in place, which I love, and not just because I think it's hilarious that this is about to change and they're all excited about this. I've always wanted these rules. I don't like this lawlessness. I don't like this system. I can't stand anything about it. So I'm happy about it.
Same. It does feel very different than the college football just like 3 years ago. It's kind of upside down entirely. It's wild.
I think we'll be looking back at this period in 5 years as, like, just the wildest thing we've ever seen. But it's definitely going to change. And anyway, I was thinking about the game, and a lot of people like us think that this one, a healthy gap, cover that 20 points. If this game is Bucks big in the second half, how do you think Ryan Day is going to handle it? Is he going to let out some aggression and just go for broke, running this thing up? Or is he going to maybe play it responsibly and let off the gas, pull some guys, and play for next week's Big Ten championship?
If he doesn't run it up, the message was not received. He's got to run it up, Juck. Like, I've seen starters in games in the fourth quarter against Iowa. I've seen starters in games in the fourth quarter against Northwestern. Like, no, run it up. Go score. Go score. Go take it out. Like, I mean, at some point, the universe has to go back to normal, and this can't just be if there's a chance to run this thing up and really blow the doors down and set their program back even further, you absolutely go do it. You absolutely have to.
How would you feel if he did not? If he went the other route and came in the post-game press conference and started saying, basically we kind of shut it down because we got Oregon next week, and we had the game in hand.
I would stand by that he doesn't get it still. I would stand by this wasn't a Ryan Day that got it. This is Ryan Day with a super talented team beating up on a 6-5 team. Like you still don't get it.
I totally agree. Like you have got to absolutely, this has to be everything. There's nothing after this. It's all about this.
Yeah.
And you're going to be judged by me, by how you handle yourself. And if you pull back, and I've heard some people say that they think he should because the Big Ten championship, but I can't. This is the same type of mentality that with the bubble wrapping, like that kind of crap I can't stand. It's all about now, man. It's about fun. It's about trash talk. You beat them into the ground if you got the opportunity to do it.
Shoot, you scored late against Indiana. Like you took some stuff Cignetti said in this last year personal, and obviously I'm a big Cignetti fan and I think everything he said was correct and right, and he should have. But you scored late against Cignetti. If you don't go score late against those guys, then it's like, oh yeah, you really don't get it.
It's time for war.
Yep.
Now you're a music guy. Objectively speaking, I think this is a horrible tune. I don't know how this ever became the anthem. Obviously, the words, the lyrics are good to what we're trying to accomplish here, but it's terrible. And the fact that look, I don't know if they're still playing that, if they brought it back this year. It's been going for a while.
I don't know. They stopped playing it when Ryan Day took over. That was one of the things that he ended.
I can't stand a lot of the changes that he made.
Yeah.
Now, if you switch it to a different song, I'm good. That one in particular gives me a headache. I don't really like it at all. It doesn't particularly fire me up. It never has.
What would be Juck's fire up song of choice?
Gosh, I don't know. Welcome to the Jungle. Something like that really gets me fired up.
But Juck, we gotta inspire these kids, man.
I'm a little older. I get it. But I don't think.
Juck, are you out there playing middle linebacker? Welcome to the jungle.
I don't think any of these dudes think LL Cool J is like some hip guy anymore, right? Like that's my era too.
That's probably fair. That's probably fair. That's funny. Welcome to the jungle. I'm gonna bring a boombox by your house and just be outside, Juck, pumping that thing up, dude.
John Cusack outside my window there. I love it.
Dude. Honey, who's that man down there playing Welcome to the Jungle?
I'm having a hard time imagining this senior class coming through without a win in the game. But if the worst case scenario happens and they do lose in this game, is this class going to be remembered as the biggest disappointment in Ohio State history?
Yes, without a doubt. Not even close. I mean, this was the most talented recruiting class Ohio State ever put together. Like, this was it. I believe it's number 1 or number 2, right between that, like, 2015 class. Like, there were, 7 5-stars?
7 5-stars. Yeah.
7 5-stars. Yeah, dog, if they lead Columbus with no wins over Michigan, massive failure. I mean, the fact that they don't have multiples is already a failure.
And that they came back, with this in mind, it would just be unbelievable. I don't even want to think about it, but I heard somebody talking about and I'm just thinking, like, even when you look at the personalities of these guys, the guys like Jack, like Emeka, like Burke, like these are like really just all-time Buckeye feel kind of guys. And for those guys in particular, like we've had dudes in the past and when I was younger that came through that didn't really have that feel. These dudes just love Ohio State. They love being Buckeyes. They all came back for a senior year. I would feel so awful for them, but at the same time, man, I don't feel like I'd ever fully embrace them if they came out of this having never won that game. I do wonder, though, I don't give them any grace, and I don't give Ryan Day any grace for any potential tomfoolery that has gone on in this game. And I wonder why that is, because I do think that you could certainly point to a couple situations in 22 where maybe there was some things going on that might have influenced the game a little bit. I've always just kind of been of the mind, like you got to overcome it. You got to overcome everything in this game. And, but I don't give him any grace. And I don't think most Buckeye fans do, even the ones who are full on like Michigan totally cheated and that result is totally different. in those two games if things are different. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't give Ryan Day any grace, but I also don't let other fans, Michigan fans in particular, slander Ryan Day's record against Michigan, given what they know. It's like,
Right.
like inside the fan base, like inside our community, I'm like, yeah, like Ryan Day has to be better in that game, and I've always stood by that.
Mhm.
But on the outside, like I'm not gonna let a Florida fan comment on my head coach. I'm not even gonna let Kirby Smart or an Alabama fan comment on my head coach, and the record to Michigan, because Michigan was cheating the whole time. So yeah, I agree. I don't give Ryan Day any grace, but also I'm not going to let a Michigan fan tell me we need to fire Ryan. We should have fired Ryan Day last year when y'all were cheating for 3 years.
Yeah. Will Howard is obviously he's been phenomenal. We talked about it every week. It just got better and better and better. He's got a chance to go 1-0 in the game, win the Big Ten, win the national championship. All the goals right there in front of him starting tomorrow as the starting quarterback of the Buckeyes. And he's finally getting the recognition we've been waiting for him to get. Now, top 5 finally in the Heisman odds, albeit a big drop off from 4 to him at 5. But we saw 24/7 Sports put him as the number 1 quarterback right now. And just finally starting to get some momentum. The national folks are finally realizing like what he's put together this year without a single bad game. Is it too late to get to New York, or could an unbelievable performance in this game change things drastically? We've seen those Heisman odds flip on their head in 1 week's time.
I think it's too late to get to New York, because I think all 3 of those spots are probably already locked in. And even if one of them goes bad, there's still the 4th slot I think is pretty locked in as well, right? Like you got to think that like obviously Genty and Hunter are absolutely going to New York. If they take 3, it's Cam Ward or Dylan Gabriel. And so you would need one of those 2 or both those 2 to fail and Will Howard to have a crazy game to get to New York, I think. I think it is too late. I'm glad he's finally like top 5, but I think it is too late currently.
Should the Buckeyes win this game, go to the Big Ten championship?
Right.
You got Oregon waiting there. You lost to Oregon early on in a game that really seemed to gut those guys. I mean, it was they made a huge change to the defense after that game. Like it really seemed to affect them bad. I think that they felt like they got out coached and they could have won that game. And they put the changes in place that they needed to. Now they get potentially the opportunity to go out and put that on display, going out as the favorites again against the team that beat them. However, if you win that game, you get the rougher path, I think we're all realizing, in the playoffs. Obviously, the coaching staff, the players, they're going to go out and give it their all and try to win the game. But us as fans, what do you want to happen? It's like, how much does the Big Ten championship mean to you? How much does the get back to Oregon mean to you when you most likely play them a 3rd time? Would you rather have the easier path?
No, I want to be undisputed, and I want to play less games this year in college football. One thing I've seen is that like we've got a lot of bad teams beating some really good teams. We've got some good teams, even teams like Oregon struggling against Boise States. I want to avoid that extra game. I want to avoid that extra chance of injury, and I want to be undisputed. I want to win the Big Ten, and I want to win the championship. And those are the goals. The 3 goals: beat Michigan, win the Big Ten, win the Natty. And I don't want this championship run to be tainted by, oh yeah, they're the champion, but they didn't even win their conference. So for me, legacy-wise, and I think this team is good enough to handle a rougher path either way. So I absolutely want the 1 seed. I know that it's a little tougher path, but I absolutely want the 1 seed.
Not all national championships are created equally. And winning that Big Ten championship, the bracket as it's currently set out has you playing after the bye week a really, really solid opponent right now. It would be Georgia, Tennessee, just the way it looks right now.
Also, just real quick, I think we would destroy Tennessee.
I want that matchup. I don't want to go through this thing playing shit teams like Arizona State and Boise State.
No.
I want to play the best. I've said forever, I want this path to go through Georgia, who, no matter how good they are this year or not, I think their best can beat anybody.
No,
sure.
You want that to cleanse the Ryan Day,
yes.
history of coming up short. Like the same
100%.
way you wanted to see Clemson in that game. Like you
100%.
wanted to see them to go put that to bed. Like you want a chance, and it helps recruiting. That's what people don't talk about. Like to go up against Kirby Smart and you beat Kirby Smart and you make a statement to college football, like we are here, we have arrived. That is how you flip the tide in recruiting as well. Because people look at you and perceive you a lot different.
The SEC record, like everything, like I want that game. I'll take Tennessee too. I don't want this path to go through Arizona State and Boise State. And let's be honest, dude, a Big Ten championship now means a hell of a lot more with this conference now. This conference is way more difficult. I think that it's something that we all, as Buckeye fans, kind of took for granted for a long time until we haven't won one in the last few years. But the way the conference has expanded, the addition of Oregon, the addition to SC, and I think we'll talk about them in a bit, but I think they're going to bounce back here in short order. It just means a little bit more to me than it did before. It's a much more difficult. There's a ton of teams going after this. Big Ten teams investing like they never have before. And it means something for sure. I also do not want them coming in here and winning the Big Ten in their first year and going 2-0 against us. I can't tolerate that.
You know, I agree. I'm sorry I have to run it so early. Do you want to get some game picks for me before I got to get out of here?
Absolutely, brother. Let's start Minnesota, Wisconsin, noon today. We got 3 today that I think are of interest. Minnesota -1, Wisconsin trying to get bowl eligible in Fickle's year number 2. I'm taking Wisconsin. Who you got?
I got Wisconsin. I got Luke getting bowl eligible. Shout out Lukey.
All right. Midday, we got the Egg Bowl, which used to be one of my favorites, but that was on Thanksgiving Day. As a standalone game, I don't know that I'm too interested this year. Mississippi State taking on number 14 Ole Miss in Oxford. We got Ole Miss -26.5. I'm taking Ole Miss on this one.
No, they're gonna bounce back and try to put up a statement game. And also, Mississippi State is so garbage that I would take this line no matter what it was. I think Mississippi State is just that bad.
I want to play this real quick from Lane, buddy.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, the difference of playing in the SEC
right.
and the ACC and Big 12, and it's just to see these rankings. I'm not even doing the Ole Miss homer thing. Mm-hmm. You know, to think that you're looking at schools and you're talking about like Clemson's schedule and who they played over Alabama. I mean, like it's it's stupid.
Yeah, and
take some. I'm not going to name them. Take some of those teams that are up there that haven't played anybody and put them down in the SEC. They're 500 teams.
Right. And so if the ultimate goal is to get the best ones there, you're going to have to deal with maybe some SEC teams that have more losses.
Yeah, and you should. If you play a way harder schedule and way harder places to play, just because you're 11-1, but you played one team that was really good and you got beat. You know, you didn't beat anybody good. Well, I don't matter. You can schedule 20 games against bad teams and win 20. It still doesn't prove a whole lot.
I know this dude has done a kind of 180 in public perception about him, and I don't even know how much you remember going back to the beginning of the Lane Kiffin experience with the Raiders. He's a Nepo baby. He's always been a baby back bitch, and everything changed with his one-liners because people thought, oh, he stands up to Saban. He's so witty and his dry sense of humor. And he is a whiny little child. And to go out and lose like he did against Florida and blow it in his year, his big year, he blew it, and he wants to turn around and start calling out Indiana, calling out teams in the Big Ten and Clemson. Man, shut up. I'm not even saying I disagree with him in theory, but shut up. Right after that loss, get out of here, man.
I disagree with him in theory as well. Like
I know you do.
Like it's ridiculous. It's foolish. Like, yeah, I get it. At the top, the SEC may be better than other conferences historically. That's fair. But dog, that doesn't give you a pass to lose to the 5th or 6th best team in the SEC. Like if you Kirby all them feel that strongly about your conference, just break away from everybody else and play your own national title. Like that's it. Like if you're that much better than everybody else, cool.
Yeah,
cool. Like they're acting like they're on this whole generational run. Like they act like the gap between the Big Ten and the SEC is like college and NFL. Like dog, like y'all had a chance to win the playoffs last year and you didn't. It was 2 Big Ten teams. Like let's get super serious, dude. Like you lost to Florida. You had the best D line you've ever put out on the field, and you couldn't rattle a freshman quarterback. Like Dog, no, the Big Ten didn't make you take your Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback off the field on 4th and 2. Like the Big Ten didn't make you do that. Get serious, Lane. Get serious.
Let's get to tonight, KD. A big one for you, your boys, and I actually got a message from you as Georgia Tech heads into Athens. One of the viewers sent me this on Twitter to relay to you. Tell Chris Drew this for me. Georgia gets a scrub game with this and next with the Bees coming to Athens. The Nerds are coming. Beatdown time. Kirby moved senior day to this week. The Dogs want all the focus on the little bugs from Atlanta. That's from Shane, our buddy. He's a Dog fan, obviously.
Yeah.
And he wanted to talk that to you. So Georgia minus 18. If your boy can pull an upset in this one, he is officially the real deal. How you feeling?
If they pull, I don't think they're pulling off an upset, but I think it's going to be a closer game than people anticipate. People forget Georgia Tech historically has played Georgia pretty close, and the last time Ohio State won a natty, they played Indiana, and then the week of Michigan, Georgia Tech beat Georgia and ended up finishing higher than most people expected, and Ohio State went on to win a natty. I believe that time is a flat circle, right? Is that the phrase?
So you got Tech plus 18.
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'm going with the Dogs all day.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
All right. Let's move to Saturday at noon. Obviously, we got our big game, and I think we both established that we think the Buckeyes are covering. We've also got Tennessee, number 8, heads into the House of Horrors. Vanderbilt going in there. We saw Alabama lose. We saw Texas almost lose. Tennessee minus 11. Vanderbilt sitting at 6-5. Can Vandy play spoiler to their rival?
I think they can. I think they've got the formula for it. And I don't think Nico, the more I look into him, I don't think the Nico offensive experience is what everybody anticipated it would be.
That's for sure. I'm with you. I'm going to go with Vandy and the points on this one.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I agree.
One of the biggest games of the weekend, number 15, South Carolina, number 12, Clemson. Clemson minus 3. It's at Fake Death Valley. And Clemson obviously laid an egg in their 2 biggest games this year against Georgia and against Louisville. Here comes the third one. They absolutely got to have it. They can potentially get in the playoffs with one upset. Mm-hmm. And I think that Dabo blows it. And I think that the Cox win the game outright.
You got South Carolina upset?
Yeah.
Me too. Fuck that. Freak Dabo. Sorry, Chuck.
Let's do it. All right. The 3:30 time slot, another one of the bangers. We've got Notre Dame, number 5 in the college playoff rankings, minus 7.5. Heading out to USC after just last game. They were out in New York playing in the Shamrock Series at Yankee Stadium. As you sit there in your velvet New York Yankees cap, Notre Dame, if they lose, they just might fall out of this thing with that loss to NIU, even sitting at 10-2.
Yeah.
USC trying to win their 7th game to match last year's record. A lot of people rooting for USC to win this one. I think they're going to get inside that number, but I do think Notre Dame's going to win the game.
I think they win.
You think they're going to win?
Week after prepping for the triple option, I absolutely think Lincoln Riley finally does the right thing and wins it.
Obviously, hey, I'm with you rooting for it for sure. Yeah. And it's a rare occasion I root for Lincoln. There's no doubt about that. I want to talk to you about him. So obviously we've heard the stats. All of their losses have been 1-score games. They've been close every single game this year, and they've lost 5 times.
It's like Scott Frost.
That's where I'm going here. Now, when we talked about Scott Frost, the narrative was this is bad coaching. You get them close, you can't ever win. This is horrible coaching. When talking about Lincoln, people are using this to defend his team instead of an indictment on his coaching. What's the difference here?
The difference is Scott Frost isn't as handsome.
I beg to differ. He's slightly like albino looking, but he was built up. He's a former Browns player.
It's like Lizzo versus Rick Ross. It's like empowering versus disgusting. You know?
Yeah. All right. So you got the Trojans in the upset. I'm taking Notre Dame minus 7.5 I'm taking the Trojans with the points. Miami taking on Syracuse. Kyle McCord the other day said to the media that he's apparently kicking around playing in the bowl game, but at the same time saying that he wants to play in the East-West Shrine game, which is another exhibition game. That really confused me. To be honest, I got a real problem with that. I mean, like, you're talking about playing in a game where you are just as likely to get injured with a mishmash offensive line. You know how those games are played. They're a disaster. I think that this guy is, I rooted for him all year, but hearing that and the way they go about things, I'm so glad that he's not around here.
Miami boat race, dude. I heard that. I was like, Miami. I absolutely got Miami.
Yeah, I'm with you too. Also taking Miami. Auburn and Alabama. We've got Bama minus 11.5. They obviously need to win to get to 9-3. That was my baseline for DeBoer coming into this year. They had 4 tough games. They had, we call them tough, LSU and Missouri. Then they had Georgia and who else? They had one other decent game. And I figured if he can split those, and then I gave him leeway to lose one other game with this roster, 9-3, that was the baseline for me to say, all right, this guy's on the right track. If he loses this one, it is definitely not on the right track if you start off 8-4 with what he had to work with.
Next year with the hot seat.
You think so? I mean, they're not happy. They're not happy down there. You know what else really blows me away is the recruiting class they got going on, despite being as highly rated as it is. When you look at the top 12 players in Alabama, this dude is totally ignoring the state of Alabama. Now, when you go all the way down to 12, that's a top 150 player at number 12.
It's going to feel like the Ryan Day experience. It's what
Right?
it's going to feel like. It's going to feel like that at Bama. But, Juck, I hate to do this. I do have to run. I got to get over to Yogi's.
Oh, go, brother. Go. Thank you so much.
Sorry.
Have a great show, buddy.
Yeah, I'll text you the rest of my picks too, okay?
All right, sounds good.
You can track them. I'll holler at you, Juck.
Later, buddy. All right, we had a hard out by KD that I missed. My fault, guys. But we will go over those picks together later. And I do want to discuss. So yesterday on Thanksgiving Day, we had a big Thanksgiving boom as the Buckeyes got the commitment from this gentleman right here, Corbin Fordham, who is a tight end out of the Bulls School in Jacksonville, Florida. Now, I did a video with some of his highlights. If you want to check those out, that's on the yesterday's video. So check him out. Top 300-ish guy. I think pretty good athlete, long, rangy. He had a cool little video that he put out. Now, I'll warn you, the last guy that did a video like this was London Merritt, and we know what happened with London, but
love, honor, and respect huddle. We share a common bond that will last a lifetime. Many thanks to the Bulls coaching staff, Coach Tovlin, Wellington, Coach Florence, Avery, Brown, Blabeck. Also to the teachers and classmates that have supported and cheered for me. I am smarter, stronger, and more competitive student athlete because of each of y'all. During the recruiting process, I was honored to meet many incredible college coaches and build connections. I truly appreciate their interest and the time they invested in me. Because of the love and encouragement and support from my parents, grandparents, extended family, and friends, I was able to achieve things that I didn't ever believe possible. My mom and dad have cheered for me from the very beginning and throughout my journey. I can hear them now.
Corby Cakes, you are so much more than a football player to me. You are a world changer. I hope you believe in yourself as much as I believe in you. You make me proud. I love you.
Corbin, I'm excited for you and the purpose God has for your life. Always remember the path to greatness starts with your obedience to God. Your talent is God-given. What you do with it is your choice. Go be great, bud.
My parents are my support system. I'm thankful for all you have done to get me to where I am today. The love, advice, and the values you taught me, along with God's direction, will forever guide my life's path. With all this being said, the next step in my path is leading me to The Ohio State University. Go Buckeyes!
I'm a sap for those things, man. I love it. Did you see him hold up the Buckeye? He was holding up a Buckeye in the woods. A little foreshadowing there. I missed it the first time. But that's awesome. Really like this kid. Love the job Keenan Bailey is doing on the recruiting trail. And it kind of got me thinking, You know, we had a lot of questions about him coming into the year. How are we feeling about how the tight ends are performing? I think with the ingredients he has at tight end, he's doing a pretty doggone good job. Obviously, we would like to see Jelani Thurman accelerate at a faster rate, but, you know, sometimes it's on the player for not picking it up as fast as you want him to as well. When we look at Bennett Christian, I think that's been a really solid addition, some good play out of him that we didn't really anticipate coming off of his suspension all year last year. And Kazmarek obviously been injured for a while. G. Scott has, you know, played good, played not so good, a bit of a mixed bag, but better than last year. There's no question about that. Better than last year. So what he's definitely done is gone out and killed it in the class of 2025 with Nate Roberts and Brody Lennon. Two legit studs that bring something a little different in how each one of them plays. And when we look at Corbin, I think he fits kind of right in between the two of them from an athletic profile. Size-wise, everything. He's kind of right in the middle. Brody Lennon, the super athlete out of the three of them. Nate Roberts, kind of your bigger bruiser, but also a really good pass catcher as well, and good with the ball in the open field. Just a little more lumbering, whereas Brody Lennon's explosive. This dude about right in between them. And that's not the only tight end that he's going to go out and try and get in 26. He's after some other guys as well. Now, our buddy Corbin here was a big Georgia target. This was a big win for the Buckeyes. Georgia really wanted this kid bad. Out of Jacksonville, right in their backyard. And not the only kid out of Jacksonville Bulls school that the Buckeyes are after, as Simeon Caldwell, his teammate, 6'3", 185 safety, top 100 kid. Bucks are in big for him. He is a nephew of OG Walt. So, you know, looking like you got the leg up there in that one, which would be awesome. And the Bulls school, a school that produces a lot of top talent. And that's a good thing to get a couple of recruits out of there, maybe get a pipeline going to that school. So all in all, really good looking stuff. We do got a couple more games that I want to hit on. Oregon plays Washington. Now, Dan Lanning loses twice to Oregon last year and lost the year before. So he's not yet beaten them, I believe. I think I'm right, the year before he lost as well. Not yet beaten them. That is a rivalry that I didn't realize was quite so intense until I started this channel, started interacting with a lot of Duck fans. That one's for real. They actually feel, maybe not how they feel, Washington, from that side of the rivalry, they take the tone that our rivalry takes, where they feel like they have a much more prestigious degree and they're a better institution of higher learning, kind of look down their nose at the Oregonians and the University of Oregon. Like there's that kind of dynamic going on, which I always found interesting when I first heard that there are some parallels there. Washington also leads the all-time series. Washington has a national championship. Oregon doesn't. And the Ducks obviously feel like they have flipped the script and they were rolling. And then last year, Washington makes it to the national championship game just kind of out of nowhere. And they want some get back here. Now, the line is Oregon minus 18.5. It's at Autzen Stadium. And I think that Oregon is going to absolutely trash Washington. I think they're going to trash them. And that's not because I think Washington's bad. I think they're good. They're 6-5 right now. I mean, they're a good team. They got mollywopped by Penn State, but they've put up a good game against a couple of other teams. I think Oregon is going to get up and just really want to pedal to the metal, rub it in, make a statement, and I'm definitely going to go with the Ducks minus the 18.5. And then we've got maybe the biggest game of the weekend, and that is Texas at Texas A&M, outside of our game, I'm talking, obviously. Texas minus 5.5. This game at Kyle Field, it is basically for all the marbles for A&M. If they lose, they're out. There was a time where it looked like if Texas lost, they would also drop out. That time has passed. Texas is still in the field if they lose, in my estimation. When we look at the bottom end of that bracket, I think that Texas can lose and still remain in the mix here, but A&M would only be able to get in if they make it to the SEC championship and win. They got to go and they got to win against Georgia. So that game going to be a huge one. I'm going to actually go with Texas A&M plus the 5.5 points. And one more game, Farmageddon, Kansas State heading into Iowa State. Iowa State needs to win this game to have a shot to make it to the Big 12 championship. They're giving 2.5 points. Kansas State has had games where they've looked really good. They've had some real clunkers this year as well. They're obviously going to be full force for Farmageddon and going after it full steam ahead. I believe in this Iowa State team to some degree. I believe in Matt Campbell. I believe in Rocco Beck. Rocco! And I'm going to go with Iowa State. The Clones win this puppy and cover and make it to the Big 12 championship game. So that's what I got, my friends. Are we talking SEC Big 10 in here, Dano? What's going on? Put them in the SEC and they're 500 teams, which means he'd have 2 losses to them. Yeah. Lane Kiffin, I did a video on it yesterday. The guy is so like, he never understands the tone of the room. You just got beat. We've seen coaches in this situation go out and politic for their team, for the committee, right? If that is his version of doing that, it didn't go over well. He just looks like a crybaby. It's so bad. He's just a Nepo baby. I can't stand the guy. I've always hated him. He's never had me duped. A lot of people have come around on him. He's always been that same dude. The dude that left Tennessee after 1 year for USC. The dude that got fired in 3 years at USC on the tarmac. They hated him so much. Like, he's still that same dude. None of that changed. Mika says, hey, Juck, do I get a shirt for answering the Ballard question the other day? Mika, yes. I don't recall what you're talking about, but absolutely. Email me. You know the email. It's scrolling on the bottom of the screen. If anybody deserves one, it's you. So, without a doubt, Mika on the list for a Juck Eyes shirt. She's our winner of the day. Anyway, guys. Shepherd Duck says, sup, Juckster, you ready to play 3 times before the Natty? This sport needs reseeding bad. And, of course, he's talking about how ridiculous it is that the loser of the Big Ten championship game is going to have that route where they go, where Ohio State is right there, against the 12 seed, which in this current breakdown, this isn't how it'll end, but this is what it's kind of going to look like. Arizona State, then in the next round, Boise State, Ohio State, or Oregon, 3 touchdown favorites in both of those games against those opponents. And that is your route to the semifinal versus the winner. You get Tennessee or Georgia in your first game, obviously a much tougher game that I personally want. And then you go to the semifinals to match up again. Either way, you can say the 5 seed is almost, the odds are very good that 5 seed ends up in the semifinals. And then the 1 seed is going to be favored to win that 1 quarterfinal matchup. And this means that the odds are very good that Ohio State and Oregon play 3 this year. And if they do play 3, I certainly don't want to lose the first 2. I don't want to lose the first 2. However, if you lose the first 2, there is a silver lining, and that is winning 3 in a row against another team that's pretty evenly matched. The odds for that got to be astronomical. And that third one would count the most. But, you know, as a Buckeye fan, I can't have that. I can't root for Ohio State to not win the Big Ten championship and to allow Oregon to come in and win the Big Ten their very first year. That would be some serious bragging rights. Like I'd have a hard time fighting against that. So I'll tell you what, though, in 2026, they are redoing this. They're ripping this down. This is not going to last. This is not going to stay like this with this seeding, whether they decide to reseed after round 1 or whether they decide that the top 4 conference champions will not be seeded in the top 4. They're guaranteed a spot in the playoffs, but we're going to seed the top 4 teams in the top 4 spots because it just makes the playoff wonky as hell otherwise. That'll happen in 2 years. There's no doubt that we're going to go through 2 versions of it like this, and everybody is now realizing, like, hey, this is really not right. This is really off. I don't know how everybody missed this, but this is not right. When you were sitting down in the boardroom, did you not try to like come up with some scenarios and just throw some teams up there and see maybe how this would work? Because if you did, and you saw it there with Arizona State, Ohio State, and then Boise with a bye week, a group of 5 team with a bye week. You know, when I sit here every week and I break down everybody's resume when we're doing the rankings, and I say, okay, well, this team has 5 wins against teams with the Power 5 teams, Power 4 teams with a winning record. Boise has no wins against Power 4 teams with a winning record. Not a single one, like none. The last 3 teams they've played, 2 of them have been a 2 and a 3 win team, and they've won those games by like 4 and 7 points. They're being propped up because they played Oregon tough in week 2. Oregon was not the same team in week 1 and week 2. They struggled against Idaho. They clearly didn't have it going. Their offensive line was in shambles. It looked nothing like the team that had it figured out in week 6. Nothing like the team that we've seen recently outside of the Wisconsin game, which going into Camp Randall at night, tough spot. You're going to have those games throughout the course of the season. My point is, this Boise team has been propped up because of that and because Ashton Genty is so sensational. But I'm sorry, a sensational running back, there's a reason running backs are so devalued, right? It can only get you so much. It's not going to change the game. It's not going to make a average team great because you have a sensational running back. And cool story, fun stuff, but that team having a bye week in the playoffs is absurd. I think it's absurd. I think it's absurd to give a G5 team a way into the playoff other than being ranked inside the top 12 on their own merit. If they can get ranked in there, I'm all for them to be included. If they can't, I don't think we should artificially be tossing them into the game because it just gives somebody who's in the playoffs, who's earned it, an easy win in the first round. And I don't like that. My man, thanks, brother. Coach Zach, USMC vet, thank you for your service. Thank you for the super chat. Headed to the live show. You coming, Juck? I will not be there today, buddy. I hope you guys have a great time. It's going to be off the hook at Yogi's on Hard Road. Anybody around the area, go check out our guys. They will be there having an awesome live show. I've been to a couple of those. They're awesome. Ton of fun. And a really cool staff there. Everybody really cool up there. Dan says just do 16 teams and be done with it. The next rendition in 2026 will have 14 teams at minimum. They might end up going to 16 in that rendition. I'm not one who wants more teams. I like it just the way it is. But, you know, I also said I didn't want to go from 4 to 12. So I'm not going to really dig my heels in because I was so wrong. I thought that it would devalue my enjoyment of the regular season, even though everybody told me, no, it's not going to. Look how this is going to play out. You're going to see this game is going to mean so much to this conference race where it otherwise would have meant nothing. If you wouldn't have cared about this game. And I'd say, yeah, well, you're sacrificing how much it means for those top 4 teams. And you're just saying, all right, well, now we're going to take that care for those games and move it down to these other teams that don't got a shot at winning. So I'm not really going to care that much. I was just wrong. There's way more games every week that I'm excited to watch. I got no problem admitting I'm wrong. I love it. What I also love is that we have teams right now that are going to be left out of this playoff that I think also have a shot to win it. Like they could potentially win it. Like their best could beat anybody's best. And some people would say, well, then we should be including them in expanding the playoffs. But I love that there's so much on the line because you can have a team that good and still get left out. That to me adds maximum drama. Every game still matters so much. Like realize now, and I know a lot of you are against like 3-loss teams getting in just as a concept. Like, you don't want 3-loss teams to be competing for the playoff. All of the good 3-loss teams get in. The brand name 3-loss teams get in every year when they expand this thing. So if that's your stance, that you don't like that, you don't want this to expand anymore, for sure. Eddie would love to see an 8-team playoff and leave it alone. I mean, if we're talking about, like, philosophically, the way we've always been in college football, and then going to the 4-team and seeing that you'd have a couple left out every year that could potentially compete with those teams, valuing the season, the regular season, and the body of work, and not saying we just want to see a tournament because a tournament's fun. I think that 6 or 8 would be perfect for that. But, you know, now that ship has sailed, you never go backwards. You only go the direction that equals more dollar bills. And we know that is how this is going to roll. Dan says he thinks the regular season is actually more enjoyable now. I agree. Yeah, I agree. I was wrong. No doubt about it. I was 100% wrong. And I dug my heels in, right? And that's why I'm not going to dig my heels in anymore moving forward, to say, like, I know that I'm going to not like this as much. And I also, you know, I don't particularly like change. I struggle with that. So I got to recognize that about myself as well. If they change it, you know, I'm always going to find enjoyment in the sport no matter what. And if I lose something, I gain something somewhere else. It always works out. Anyway, this weekend, tomorrow, Jakeem Stewart, is he visiting? Is he not? It's looking like no. It's looking like the Buckeyes are not going to be in this one at all, and not going to pay the money it's going to take. So he's not going to waste his time and visit. As far as other visitors, we were really excited about Chaz Coleman, Penn State commit out of Warren, who was just offered. Is Chaz Coleman going to be in town? Are the Buckeyes going to flip him? There is some word, rumor mill word, that Chaz Coleman is going to be sticking with Penn State. James Franklin has got him to not take the visit to Columbus. I don't have confirmation on that. We'll see. If Chaz Coleman shows up, Bucks are in great standing to flip him. I think he is a better prospect than London Merritt was. But of course, if he doesn't show, that's not going to happen. And that would be a real bummer if you couldn't flip that kid, because I think he's legit, absolutely legit. And when we look at the board, we did get some good news, as 5-star Quincy Porter removed from potential flip watch. Quincy Porter has announced that he is, quote, shutting down his recruitment. He's 100% committed again, which I can't stand this thing that now guys are committed and then they have to commit again to their commitment. But that's where we're at, bros. That's where we're at. And Quincy Porter has committed again, that he is now shutting down his recruitment after he committed. But he's in the class. He's got his 5th star. A huge pat on the back for Heartline. I've also heard this dude talk, and let me tell you, another Ohio State recruit that sounds like he's 25 years old. Super mature. Sounds like a perfect gentleman. And he plays like a bully, which I love. It's a great combo. It's a great way to be. As we move on further, I actually am about to take Javon McFadden off of flip watch list on my board. I no longer feel like we're in risk there of losing Javon McFadden, which is big news. He's a dog. Naeem offered. Nobody knows. We'll find out signing day. Will he come tomorrow? Let me tell you. My personal opinion, he absolutely comes, because they haven't missed a big game yet. They go to every big game. It seems apparent that they're very big football fans. I would go to all the big games too. So I think that they come and watch the game. Now, if they don't, we know it's curtains. But if they do, that doesn't make it okay, we're good, right? As I said, they've gone to all the big games. If they want to go watch football games, Naeem likes the attention. He likes being out there. Like, that's clear. And there's nothing wrong with that. I would have too at his age. Full disclosure. But I wouldn't read too much into it. If he shows up, I wouldn't be freaking out. Like, to me, this is a 50-50 coin flip. We'll see what happens signing day. I lean towards he doesn't end up in our class. That's where I lean. But you can lean any way you want to, and we will find out on December 4th, right around the corner, guys. Next week, of course, we will go over, do a big episode where we run down all the guys we got in the class, maybe watch a little film on each one, or, some of the ones in question. I don't know, maybe a couple of the special ones, maybe a few of my favorites, a few of your favorites. We'll see what we do, but we will do a big show going over the class of 2025, which one of my favorite classes. It really is. Disappointed to lose London Merritt. He was one of my favorite dudes in the class. I'll be really disappointed to lose TJ Alford, who is, he was one of my first guests on the show. I think he's just an awesome young dude, and obviously a phenomenal football player. I really didn't like seeing his tweet the other day that I showed on the show that, he's just a kid trying to make plays and the adults are messing it up for me. And it's just like, man, everybody's got their hand out. Everybody's trying to get involved, trying to make a buck off of what they can, off of these guys that are in this situation, position themselves. I'm not saying that's his specific instance. I don't know exactly what he was referring to, but I think we can all draw an idea of what he means there when he says that. It's obvious, and it always has been to me, that he absolutely loves James Laurinaitis, loves Ohio State, and wants to be at Ohio State. He's also told me that it's extended family who really wants him to stay home and go to Miami or Florida State. And his dad is a huge Canes fan, like the type that says Ohio State, they were robbed out of the national championship because of the flag in the Fiesta Bowl. Like, that's the type of Canes fan he is, like a real Canes fan. And he wants to see his kid there, but he wants his kid to do what he wants to do. But you can imagine, as a Buckeye fan, if you had a kid who was this level of recruit, you would want him to do whatever he wants to do, but you would also, you'd want to see your kid be a Buckeye, right? Sure. So you certainly get where old man Alford's coming from. You know how it goes, guys. And Dan is right. Money talks. Bottom line. I don't know if he's referring to recruiting or the playoffs, but he's right on both counts. No doubt. All right, my friends. It is a busy, busy day in my life. And I have got to go get some things done, do some work, get some things set up for tomorrow. And I hope that you guys enjoy the games today. And I know that we are going to enjoy the game tomorrow. And I want to make sure that you all know that I will be here live immediately after the game so we can all reconvene, discuss what we saw. Hopefully we'll be celebrating. The alternative, you might not see me. You might not see me. I can't promise. All right, I'll be here. I'll be here regardless. You gotta face the medicine. You know what I mean? You just got to do what you got to do. The problem is, and I've been on the other side of this, when fans who don't like Ohio State, particularly the other side, when Ohio State loses, they all want to come pile in those live shows afterwards and give you hell. And, that's not a fun spot to be for me. But, you got to face the music if you talk all the crap. And I have all week. I've talked all the crap. So I'll be here. You got to stand in the paint. But we're going to win. Going to be good stuff. Bucks by 3 scores. They'll cover that 20.5 points. Ryan Day will not take his foot off the gas. It will be merciless. I like the way Dylan Davis put it earlier this week with us. He said it'll be a reckoning. That's a good word. And I like that. I like that a lot. So, all my friends, I appreciate you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for supporting the show. If you like some more of the national college football flavor, you can follow me over at Juck on College Football, where I've been putting out some more videos of my thoughts on things national college football related that I know 50% of my audience here at Juckonbucks doesn't want to hear a ton of the national stuff. They come here for Buckeye stuff. They want to hear about the national stuff as it pertains to us as Buckeye fans. But a little more in-depth over on that channel with the national stuff over at Juck on College Football. So I'm sorry, Juck on CFB. So check me out over there if you would like to see any of that stuff. Please do like and subscribe to both Minister Sports and Juckonbucks and Juck on College Football, if you don't mind. I appreciate you all so much. I will talk to you soon, immediately after the game. See you then, guys. Go Bucks. Hey, it's Juck.
Juck? Who is Juck?
Juckonbucks.
Juckonbucks.
Juckonbucks?
Juck. Juckonbucks.
My guy Juck.
Juckonbucks.
My buddy Juck.
Juck is the Juck.
It's Juckonbucks.
Okay.
Juck is junk.
The Juck Eyes.
Juck Eyes.
Juckonbucks.
Junk. Juck. Not junk. Juck.